Hi divers, and welcome back to another scuba diving accident video, but this time with a twist. Instead of a normal accident video, we're going to be reacting to a shark attack video. And the video in question is Fiji tiger shark attack goes for the diver's head. And that's one hell of a title. And this video it's quite short, so we'll just watch it all in full, and then I'll go over it more in discussion afterwards about how to stay safe when diving with sharks, a bit about shark diving in general, and just a FAQ in general afterwards, because sharks are pretty misunderstood because of films like Jaws and whatnot. And I think it's better to get educated about this sort of stuff so you can be safer around them in the water. Often with these kind of videos, I do read the description for context. So quick looking at it, the person who made the video seems to be pushing a lot of the blame actually onto the shark, which is always a red flag because, spoiler alert here, it's usually not the shark's fault. We'll see in the footage, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the shark is completely a savage and this is nothing to do with the divers doing anything wrong, but 9 times out of 10, possibly even higher than that, it's usually not the shark's fault. But I'll just put the description there so you can see it. But yeah, we'll jump into the video now and we'll see what happens. Okay, let's go. So there's a tiger shark there, pushing him out the way. And there's a bait box. So this is a shark dive. It's a tiger shark, definitely, because you can see the markings. Look at all the fish. They are being drawn in by this bait box. Another tiger shark there you can kind of see. It's kind of hard to see because all the fish though. I don't know what's in that bait box, but it's drawing a lot of attention. There's the shark again, you can see it. So the main thing actually with these shark dives is keep your eye on the shark, redirect. Oh my! He did not just redirect it onto his buddy. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you do not redirect towards the person. Have good spatial awareness, which he just hit the bottom then. These divers look very unfocused, but we'll see. Tank banging going on. What are they doing? Why did he go towards it? Okay. This is very... pushing it again. Pushing it towards another buddy. Why do they keep pushing it so much? Oh my gosh. This is a mess. Dropped his camera maybe, looks like, from that. This is so unorganised. And that's it. That is the footage. Oh my days. Yeah, not great. And as expected, not the shark's fault. So let's break this down. This was a shark dive. These divers have not just randomly encountered a tiger shark or tiger sharks, because there were several in that video if you didn't realise. So what they actually had, if you look at the start of the video when the diver was getting pushed by the shark, there is a full-on bait box there. So this is a bait box, if anyone who doesn't know. So this is what this is usually filled with, like fish guts or fish parts, and it's used to draw in the sharks, because tiger sharks and big other sharks, so like things like bull sharks as well, hammerheads sometimes, they don't naturally want to come to the divers. So divers who are diving at an open circuit, so the typical single tank setup, when we exhale, produces lots of bubbles, which is very noisy, and sharks just don't want to get near that. They usually get scared away from this sort of stuff. So the reason they are there is because of the stuff in the bait box. So this is a very much planned dive that they are here to dive with the sharks. Other way you can do shark dives is trimming the water. That's when they put fish guts, fish blood, fish parts in the water off the back of a boat, and that'll also draw in sharks. That's usually used more for snorkelers or free divers. And when it comes down to scuba divers who are going down to the bottom, they have the bait boxes. So yeah, this is very much a planned dive. It's not like oh my god, the shark came out of nowhere and attacked these poor defenseless divers. You can also see by the shark's movement, if I just play the video again, it's moving very, very slowly. It's not actually rushing any of them. It's not doing any erratic, frantic movements. It is there just purely focused on the box. It's swimming around, just see what's going on. The other shark there. And all these other fish are drawn in by the bait box as well. That is what's getting them all there. They want the food there. They're clearly socialised. Often with these kind of shark diving practices going on, the sharks get familiar with divers and they associate when they see a diver, oh, we're going to get some food, because that's what they associate it with. So they're not there to actually go after the divers. They know they're just going to get a free meal if they come here. At the end of the day, sharks are survival-driven creatures, like most wild animals, if not basically all wild animals. They are... If you don't know, sharks are almost over 450 million years old. They're one of the oldest animals on the planet. They date back older than trees. And because of that, they haven't had to evolve to change to adapt to the climate very much. They've been able to just survive the way they were. So they have very basic survival instincts. So mainly they're focused on where's my next meal, that's going to help me survive, and that's all they care about really. They've not got malicious thoughts like, oh, I'm going to be mean to these divers, I'm going to scare these divers, I'm going to be evil right now. They don't think about that. They're just thinking, how do I survive? Oh, get some food, that's going to help me survive. Oh, when these divers appear in the water, I'll get a snack, and that's going to help me survive. And clearly these fish are familiar with this, so when they see these divers, when they see that, they all come swarming over, they're around the bait box because they know that's where the food is. I won't really get into the ethics too much of like, is shark diving wrong or is it bad?
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics.
A few moments later.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
Just know it happens in parts of the world. The alternative is sometimes that it gets people away from doing shark fishing, which is obviously a good thing because we are overfishing sharks in the world. We're killing over 100 million per year, which is an alarming rate, typically driven by Asia where people want to have shark fin soup. It's very popular for status reasons. So lots of sharks are being killed around the world, and that forces us to actually, people look to either supply that need or they can do alternatives, and that keeps the shark alive, but it causes people to do these kind of shark tours with either shark snorkeling trips or shark dives. So I don't want to get too much into that ethics, but just know that it's usually there to stop people fishing sharks is why these practices are in place. It's not always as, oh, divers, what they're playing at here. However, if you look at like the strict kind of diving standards like PADI, SSI, TDI, maybe NAUI, I don't know, NAUI's got some weird rules, but most diving agencies will tell you do not make contact with marine life and do not disturb marine life, do not unnecessarily interact with marine life. So this shark diving technically breaks those kind of diving rules. But as I said, it's a bit of a nuance because if they weren't doing these kind of shark dives and bringing money into the local communities, which are often poorer areas, they'd turn to shark fishing for their income, and that creates another problem. So it's one of those things with a lot of nuance. So don't just go, oh, these people going shark diving, they're bad people for doing it. Because I heard from Paddy that you should not be interacting with sharks. Now, I wouldn't say it's going to be what's going to fully corrupt the sharks. It's not like they're going to be no longer hunters. It's not that they have lost their hunting skills. That's why they come for the bait boxes. It's more like a light snack. It just makes it part of their diets. You can talk about the right or wrong stats, but it's not going to be the sole way the sharks are going to be fed from now on. It's kind of how sharks in general do hunt. They want to go for the easy meal. It's why they go for the weak, injured fish, and that's what they hunt for. It's why when they smell the blood in the water, which is the fish guts and the fish blood, that's what draws them in, because it actually, in the wild, that'd be an injured fish, which means an easy meal, and that's what gets them all to come over there, because it's an easy prey for them to help their survival. Now, with that part out of the way, let's just talk about actually what happens if a shark does come towards you. So in this kind of video, the one thing they are doing somewhat correct is that they are looking always at the shark, or at least most divers seem to be looking at the shark for the most part. This is really important because the shark, even if it's focusing on the food, it's still going to have its eye on you, because again, it could be a potential easy meal. Because if you're not focused, you're distracted, the shark will go, maybe I can get some food from here. Maybe I could try this out. So it's always looking at maybe a potential way of getting some food here. So that's why they're always doing this. So if you are in the water with some sharks, always keep an eye on them. Do not let them out of your sight. And that way then the shark won't make a turn for you. If you do feel like a shark is coming towards you, by the way, that's when you need to square up, turn your body to face the shark. A bit like how when you see those YouTube videos of the bears when they get guys and they like square up to the bear, make themselves look big. Same principle goes with a shark. You've got to show that you're an apex predator too. You've got to show that you're an alpha. Not to be that kind of, I'm not going to give you any alpha M advice right now,
gentlemen.
But the idea being that you do need to look like actually a threat to the shark and not like some prey that it can bite. Now, if it does keep coming towards you, this is when you see the divers redirect the shark. Now, to give you kind of a very brief overview on redirecting, firstly, don't do it if you've not been shown how to properly do it. There's a lot of things what can go wrong. As you saw in the video, you can redirect it into another diver. If you have bad spatial awareness, you're not aware of what path you're pushing the shark towards. And secondly, you can also hurt yourself. Just to give you a quick overview about shark redirection, by the way, it's something you don't swim out your way to do. Like you saw one of the divers doing the footage, he swims towards it to redirect it. Don't do that. It's only if it's swimming right towards you, that's when you're going to do a redirect. And if you're going to do it, you want to have your arm outstretched, fully extended, locking your elbow, eye contact with the shark, make sure you're watching the whole time. And when you do have it come towards you, you're going to push down on it to its nose and push it away. But obviously you're pushing it in a direction what's not going to go into the path of someone else if you're in a big group like that. Arguably, what they're doing, they had too many divers in that group. This should have been a lot smaller group, so it'd be a lot safer for them to actually handle these kind of sharks. because it seemed like the guide wasn't able to be in the right space at the right time there. He was messing with the bait box and got pushed out the way by the shark because he wasn't seemed to be handling the bait box very well. So it's just drawing lots of fish and sharks around them, and that's where issues start to arise. And then the clients or fun divers or whatever you want to call them, they took liberty into their own hands to start pushing the shark in different directions, and that's when it can become dangerous for people. Ideally though, don't try and redirect the shark because again, if you do have bad hand placement with it, if you misjudge it, because obviously underwater with masks, your depth perception is different to what you might expect it to be. You can miss the shark so it still comes right at you and hits you, or similarly your hand might miss and go too low and it goes right into the shark's mouth, and then not good. Another thing just to keep in mind by way of tiger sharks, you can see actually when it goes for the bite, tiger sharks, when they go to bite something, they roll their eyes backwards to protect their eyes, and they are temporarily blinded while biting. It's just a thing they do to help protect themselves, so they can't see what's going on. So when you make contact with it, when you're actually pushing down on the nose, they are temporarily blinded and their instinct is to bite. So as soon as you make that contact, that's where they're going to instinctively bite. So that's why when the diver pushed it towards the other diver, it instantly goes bite and almost bit that diver on the head. So that's why you don't redirect if you're not very careful. A weird tip, if you have a big camera rig set up, you can actually use that as a barrier to protect you from the shark coming towards you. There's some divers who actually do this and they push the camera. The rigging protects the camera, by the way, so you're not breaking your camera doing this. You get some amazing shots as well. But that is one way you can actually safely protect yourself if you do have a shark coming towards you. But I say, these sharks, they're not maliciously coming to attack divers, they're just being curious. If you don't know, sharks, unlike us, have extra senses. So we have 5 senses, sharks have 7. And these extra 2 senses are, first one is vibrations. They can sense the vibrations in the water. So this is how they can sense distressed or injured fish, because they can sense in the vibrations of how the water's moving, that it's not moving the correct way, it probably has an injured fin. So that's what draws them to those kind of things. So this is why you need to stay calm on these shark dives. You don't want to be flailing around, you don't want to be splashing, because sharks can sense that and it sees you as prey. This is why you need to stay calm, keep a very steady body position, steady breathing, all these kind of things the sharks can sense and can know if you're prey or if you're a predator as well. Second thing as well is that they have an electric sense. They can sense electrical currents in the water with these little dots on their nose called the ampullae of Lorenzini. This is so they can sense things like heartbeats of fish around them, so they know what the fish are feeling, if the heartbeat's beating erratically again, to know if they're like stressed, or if it's a fish resting in some camouflage, and they can find things like flounders which are hiding under the sand that way and hunt them for easy meals. And because of that sense about the electrical currents, this is how they sometimes get drawn to cameras or rebreathers, because they have like an electric hum to them. So things like that can get their interested. They know you're not a fish, they know you're not prey, but they are quite curious what is that sometimes, so it can draw the shark towards you if you have an electrical device on you. But that's the main thing why the shark is swimming around. It's like, what are these people? What's this stuff? What's all this going on here? If they feel vibrations in the water, they feel electrical currents in the water, they might get a bit more curious. And that's what the sharks were doing here. They were like, what's all this going on here? And they just want to check. And they don't have the best eyesight. So when it comes to a shark, they actually often get more information by beeping it on the nose. That's where the ampullae Lorenzini are. So if they make contact with something with their nose, that's how they can get more information. So that's why they want to press it with the nose. But if they don't get enough information, they have even more sensors on their teeth, so that's why they bite things to find out what they are. Now, unfortunately, people, we're kind of fragile, so a shark bite can be very serious for us. That's why redirecting happens, to make people avoid getting these bites happen to them. Another reason why you want to watch for sharks the whole time you're in the water is to see if there's any behavioural changes. So in the video, the sharks will swim around very slowly, very calm and relaxed, so you know they're safe to be around. However, if the shark was moving quite fast in the water, it's doing lots of sharp turns, if it's doing what I like to call sharky drive-bys, when they swim right towards you and then just a quick turn afterwards and then come back around and do the same again, it keeps rushing you, that's a sign that they are not feeling comfortable with you in the water, they're feeling a bit threatened, they're feeling a bit territorial, and that's a sign you need to get away from that area and even exit the water. Because if you continue to stay in that space and ignore these signs, that's often when they will give you some warning bites or even try and attack you properly to say, get away from this area. And that's a big reason why keeping an eye on sharks and their behaviour is very important. But in this video, the sharks are just being very curious, they're swimming around and they're just waiting for the bait box food. So just to go over some sharky facts right now and get you thinking, okay, are sharks really dangerous or are they not? The answer is generally they're pretty safe. Out of all the animals in the world, they are one of the ones with the lowest death rates for killing people. They don't kill many of us at all, it's just over 10 per year. I think it's about 14 or something when last time I checked the figures. average per year. So when you think about all the millions of beachgoers, people who go diving, people who go surfing, all that time in the water around sharks, and by the way, if you didn't realise it, every time you go in the ocean, you are around some level of sharks, is actually a very small percentage of people who actually ever do get into problems with sharks. And this is simply because sharks are not really interested in people. We are not what they consider food. They want to go for smaller fish. Most sharks aren't the big ones. We think of things like hammerheads, great whites, bull sharks, tiger sharks, makos, etc, etc. But the thing is, that's a very small amount of sharks. There's actually over 500 different species of sharks out there, and most of which are a lot smaller. I'll put some on screen right now if you're curious about some smaller shark species, but there are a lot smaller ones out there, and they make up the vast majority of sharks. So don't think they are these big scary things. You probably have been around sharks if you've been some time in the ocean, you've been around sharks, and they're not hunting people. We're not what the food. And the big ones, they're not looking for humans as well. Things like great whites, they want things like sea lions with big blubbery hides. This is why when you see people getting attacked who are surfers, it's because they mistake it for a sea lion. And that's why they don't actually fully eat a person if they attack someone. They bite, realise it's not a blubbery hide, and then let go. Unfortunately, obviously, because sharks have big sharp teeth, and we're pretty fragile as species go, shark attacks can be very severe for us, can lose limbs, can have a big chunk taken out of us, or even be fatal. But there usually are very unfortunate misunderstandings. But I will always stress though, it's the media who really blows this out of proportion. This is what makes sharks have this really bad reputation. Because if we talked about it every year, we'd actually have more things like, oh, per year we have more people die from cows, or more people die from dogs, or mosquitoes. Things like that kill a lot more people per year, but we don't talk about it because it's not as glamorous, or with our social media age, gets less clicks than sharks do. Sharks just have this kind of weird aura about them, what people get excited or have this morbid fascination about. But reality is they don't really want to attack people. It's usually unfortunate misunderstandings or provoked situations where a diver's been silly and done something they shouldn't have done, and that's why they've had this bad situation. And this video is a good example of it. These divers were not, the group was too big, they weren't handling the bait box well, they're pushing the shark into the people, way too much contact with the shark was unnecessary, and it caused a lot of problems, which could have been avoided. And that person who almost got bit on the head, that could have been easily avoided with better practice in place. But yeah, if you think I missed anything by the way in the video, if there's any extra points, any more information you have about shark diving, things I didn't include, things you think I should have included, feel free to leave a comment down below and join the discussion. I'd love to get involved in that. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It helps me out, but also help other divers find this video too. And if you want to see more from myself, feel free to... I can't speak. And if you want to see more from myself, Narked Tom, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification icon if you want to get notified when I post my next video. Anyway guys, I hope you have an awesome and safe dives, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.